Everybody, wait a minute.
wear Black Power Media gear, you can accomplish anything. You can play any and every position. Coaching, to kicking, to receiving, to running and juking. And, oh my goodness, I see that again in slow motion. Get off me. And you're going to have a lot of haters coming at you, but what you got to do is you got to shake them off, and get to your goal and accomplish it. And when that's done, it's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about going hard, extra, for that extra point. And when it's done beautifully, you talking about touchdown. Oh, and the crowd goes wild and they're celebrating with you and everything. Man, let's see that again. Nice.
Black Power Media, baby. That's how we do it.
Now go to blackpowermedia.org and get you some of that gear. Empower yourself today. Yeah.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. What's up, world? Welcome to another edition of I Mix What I Like Live right here at Black Power Media. Again, I'm Jared Ball. Very happy to be your host. They filled up pretty quick again, so working along with the schedule and the timing, I figured I would jump on today, and I've put in a feel-good day of work on the second edition of the Myth of and Propaganda of Black Buying Power, which is exactly relevant to a lot of what folks have had to say lately. And again, the comments and the criticism has filled up pretty quick, so I wanted to address them as soon as was convenient and possible. So here we go. I'm forgetting something, but shout out to those who are here live, who are able to catch this, to those who will see and hear this later. Thanks to you as well. Peace. Welcome to everybody. Here we go. So in response to, I recently reposted the back and forth I had a couple years ago with B. Doyle Mitchell, the CEO of Industrial Bank up the road here from me in DC. And that was on the Mighty Voices with Vision. Shout out to Net for Freeman, and who you see a little bit and hear from a little bit in the let me just get that out of the way, in the video. And I appreciate that they arranged that exchange, and I think it was very revealing that, and I think it was pretty clear that either Mitchell does not understand things like gross domestic product and the history of buying power, or even how the economy works, or he's willfully misleading folks because it's in his economic and class interest. But either way, I think it was pretty clear what was going on. So one commenter, who I believe will figure later in this episode, Yama, I'm just going to end it there. Forgive me for, I don't know what exactly is being said in the rest of the name, but man, Doc Jab still popping jabs at these dudes. He said, remember this man say. Yeah, I did want everybody to remember what was being said. But then in a critical response, Mike Jenkins says, because obviously a biracial Jew, liberal communist professor knows far more than a longtime Black African-American banker's son about what Black families and individuals nationwide want and what it takes to provide the financial products that meets their needs and wants, as well as the Black business sector's needs and wants. Well, Mike, if that's how you want to define me and everyone else, then yeah, then that's what it is. Then obviously in this case, a biracial Jew, liberal communist professor knows far more than a banker's son about how the economy works and what is good for the Black community. Because again, obviously what is not included in your comment is an analysis of what I said or an explanation of how I'm wrong. So I get it. I get it. I know the world in which I live. I know I get it. So enjoy the jokes, enjoy whatever the contradictions may be, but whatever those contradictions are, none of it detracts from the fact that I'm right. And I have the data and the receipts. And as you saw in the video, he didn't and doesn't, and no one does. So, all I get at best is an honest attempt to assess what I'm saying and address and respond to the argument. Or at worst, something like this, which is, again, not an explanation. So Mike Jenkins, as much as you're getting points off on me in a comment on YouTube, you're not helping, presumably, your Black community better understand the situation. So I hope that satisfies as the material reality plays out. Peace, Coco. Good to see you as always. So anyway, thanks, Mike. Thanks for watching, if in fact you did. And let me know if your analysis ever evolves past name calling. Otherwise, the short answer to your question is, yeah, I do know more. Yeah. Okay, next one. Will Mars back in the mix again. Another repost recently. I put up some of our discussion of a live reinvention, and I'm not sure what is meant here, but if you don't know Peter Bailey, or if you don't know about Peter Bailey, that may be more about you, Will, than whatever you're intimating here about what you think he's saying. But Peter Bailey, having worked with Malcolm in the OAAU, editing Blacklash newsletter, and many more things, I think he's qualified to at least be heard, whether or not you agree, like I'm saying about me, make it plain. But anyway, thanks for watching. Yeah, I wasn't prepared for some of what was said there, but as Geechee the other day made clear, and I'm not sure if we're ever going to play the video, but a shout out to him and his comrades at Barter and Build. They did offer up an apology. I'm not even sure it was necessary, but the fact is, fun, just to enjoy it a little bit. I wasn't ready for the but So James Nadell, a former guest on the program, I believe that's the same one, posted here, having listened to and proceeded numerous takes on these matters, I would synthesize it in this way. To view the disproportionately Jewish presence in Hollywood and media as essentially Jewish is akin to considering the African-American dominance of the NBA as essentially Black, or I'm presuming he's meaning ADOS. Both, or descendants of slaves, right? Both elite groups represent and reflect the relationship of the group at large and the individuals involved with the racialized capitalism as it has metastasized in the cancerous host of American settler colonialism. That dialectical relationship is the discussion we should be having, especially vis-a-vis so-called Black and Jewish relationships. Instead, we get imitation, freeze-dried, encapsulated blather from the ADL, Calypso, Lou, and Kanye, not to mention the cavalcade of media, poodle pimps slinging fecal matter spattered takes. Wow. It's all within the, what's in the way here? It's all within the centrist right framework and the prism through which Americans, did I have the rest of it? Receive information that prevents the critical humanist paradigms from being heard on purpose. So James, thanks for that. I largely agree with that. So, and if I understand everything being said, that's pretty much what I'm trying to say. But I agree that there's a poetry to what it is how you've put that. So yeah, and shout out. I believe that is the same James Nadell. I'm sure it is, and he's should maybe come back at some point to finish his discussion of Jimi Hendrix. Anyway, but yeah, I think that's largely the problem. So I don't really have a response to that. I just thought maybe I would include some positive. I guess that's why I included that there, so that it's not just straight criticism. All right, user something something something. Bro, been watching you forever and get you, but the movie ended. Okay, so we're back to Wakanda Forever. Or Wakanda Must Fall, as I put it. Been watching you forever and get you, but the movie ended with a strong alliance between Wakanda and Telokan. I don't think you should rewatch that. I don't agree. They are literally set up to work together in the future against colonial aggression. That's not what I see happening. But again, if it proves to be that I'm wrong and they come back with another movie and I'm, I'll happily, but that's not the message I got from the end of that movie. The message I got was, and they literally depicted it in painting, was them fighting each other. Because he's saying when they need us, they're going to come to us. And we're going to work in an alliance. It was once they need us, they'll be weak enough for us to take them out. I'm a comic fan, so I kind of understand the complex limitations of the source material and also Marvel, but I think you missed the mark when viewing the movie. Shuri only shows empathy to Black folks and the indigenous folks. She specifically was out to kill Namor, with everyone else, both sides being collateral damages. That's why she drew him out instead of invading. And I'm not unmoved by that take, but again, my point would be she was still willing to attack them and shed their blood and kill him and never do the same against any of the Western world. And again, she overcomes the spiritual image of Killmonger and his encouragement to her to go to war so that she can be seen as acceptable to the ruling elite, the Europeans, by the end of the movie. That's so. Okay, Shuri only shows something. Okay, that's why she drew him out. And oh yeah, fuck royalty, but the shit is Disney, and this is the African context for such rulers or families. Namor is the dopest anti-hero we can hope to get from Marvel. Coogler went out of his way to make Namor indigenous and utilize Killmonger as an expression of rage, which is unfortunate, but not immaturity. And Shuri was grieving the whole movie. Her rage was her grieving. The movie isn't revolutionary and isn't completely counter to the politics of Disney, but I'll take it. My brother, I think you should chill on the comic book and Disney media for a while. So I'll start with that last point. I think, with all due respect, user, whatever, I don't think we saw the same movie. And I think you should, if not revisit the source material yourself, revisit what Dr. Burroughs has at least written on the history of the comic and the different versions that have been produced and how and why and by which race and which class and all of that, and which version we end up with. Because I think instead of telling me to chill, you should, again, unchill and look more critically at that history and the role that this media is meant to play in our real material political world. So, I'll leave, so that would be, Killmonger was absolutely himself depicted in the first movie and again in this one as the immature, rage-filled lunatic, which is why, to your point, for her to get over her rage, which is again to become mature and calm and peaceful, she has to walk away from him, which is again a metaphor for walking away from revolutionary politics so that she can be seen as calm and acceptable, or the good minority, or the unthreatening, the non-threatening African that will work with the colonizer. So, and to your point about, so Coogler making the character indigenous, going out of his way to make the character indigenous, I think works for Disney and Western politics to pit indigenous and Latinos and against Black communities. That's the point. So I don't think Coogler works against those politics at all. In fact, as I've been arguing, Coogler, going back to his first film, Fruitvale Station, has been demonstrating his ability to tell Black stories in favorable ways for white audiences for years. And I predicted from that film going forward that he would be in this position making these kinds of big blockbuster. I predicted this was part of his career back then, because he does just what you're saying was done here. So I'm not, I'm not going to chill, with all due respect. So, but feel free to continue watching, user, whoever you are, and delve deeper into my own work and to the work of my comrades. And you're welcome in advance. Yeah, you know what? I've not heard Nick's. I gotta go check that out. I would like to hear that. And let me see what could possibly be that. And but anyway, yeah. As you would, as most appropriately thinking people would. That's the point. And that's why he's depicted as unreasonable in the film, and why user anonymous, what that user seems to be missing. But okay, it is what it is. But thanks for the comment. Let's keep it moving. I think that's just more of the same. I think we can move on. Let's see. Okay, back to Wakanda Must Fall Again. But all of this is exactly what would happen. No one is inherently and magically evil or innocent. This is not at all unrealistic. I don't like this movie because it's 2022 and it's clear it's not just one group of people with one skin color or another against another, especially not anymore. Again, Alan Kennedy, history has disproven your point that this is exactly what would happen, because history has already demonstrated that radical elements from every background has been willing to work with other radical elements from every other background for the purposes of overthrowing the common oppressor, particularly, as I mentioned in my review, the Bang Dung and non-aligned movements. We could talk about AIM and the Young Lords and the Brown Berets, and there's endless of alliances. So to suggest that automatically these groups would be at odds, which is not, of course, impossible, but to say that is automatically what would happen is historically inaccurate. The efforts at unity happening today are proof against that, and that's what I'm arguing the movie is speaking against. It's trying to negate those histories and those politics. So I've never, and I don't know if this was a point, but I've never just suggested that it's one racial group and against another racial group, or anything quite that simple. But and yet I am saying that whites and the West are the beneficiaries of the film. So yeah, this is sort of what I was talking about before, and that's why my comment I've included here as well. I did actually respond to this one. But Dr. Ball, bruh, Eiffel Tower, the citadel of imperialist genocide, and y'all chose it. You know it was coming. I mean, well, Richard Sheffield, I don't know what you mean, and I don't agree. And this is what I was saying about selecting pictures that are family pictures shared publicly to be critical of in this way, I think is inappropriate. I get it. I put them publicly. So on some level, but at the same time, this kind of response and criticism is way out of place and and suggests again that that's the extent of the trip or the conversation. And all told, with mine and our collective work, it's a wildly out of place statement. So as I said there, these comments are so damned ignorant and self-righteous. Make sure you stay tuned for the next episode of Answering Critics. And I hope Richard catches this. I mean, because anyway, because it invites this sort of let's delve into everyone's personal experience and pick apart every aspect of their public or private life or just public life, because I did post it publicly, and look for any possible flaw, or to suggest that because people don't post it publicly that they are not themselves more flawed in their politics or their contribution. I don't know. So, but anyway, I just think, if I haven't blocked you on Instagram already or whatever, if you see pictures of me and my kids, if you don't have something other than that's beautiful and shout out and that, keep it to yourself. It's just keep it moving. It's just not the place for your thoughts. So now I don't know what you mean. Nah, I mean, you know what I mean? Nah, I mean. Anyway. Okay, wow, what's happening? Forgive me, V. I'm just going to call you V for now. Appreciate you. Forgive me. Hey, brother, I mix what I like. I love your show for two reasons. One, you bring an intellectual view to hip hop culture, not to mention you stay current with the information flowing from its most engaged artists. And two, you fear no man but God. Already, truthfully, your Cryptoganda series and media critique is brilliant. Question: what 5 books would you recommend for understanding media psychology? You know what? First of all, I appreciate the question, and I should have done more oh, and then wait, there's another one here. Also, I do not believe in biracial. Either you are black or non-white. Either you are a black or a non-white person, or you're confused. I have several non-white, supposedly biracial nieces and nephews, and to the extent they believe they are biracial is the extent that that their personality is confused and distorted. Well, I guess I appreciate. I'm assuming that's meant to be somewhat complimentary of me, but I think the mythology around biracial people, so-called, being the confused ones, is itself just that. Myth, fantasy, it's propaganda. In other words, I don't think biracial or so-called mixed or whatever folks are any more confused than anybody else. If anything, we are responding to the confusion of everyone else. And therefore appear to be more confused than everyone else. But I just think everyone is generally confused. I mean, we were just having this conversation. We're always having a version of this conversation, but you have, again, the idea that anyone to the extent that anyone is unaware of the colonial origins of their identity, suggests how confused everyone is. But anyway, but to the point, I should have actually prepared a book list, and I will come back and do a better job with that. But at least off the top of my head, I would say The Science of Coercion by Christopher Simpson. And I'm gonna you know what, I'm gonna come back and do a better thing about this. But what was that Parenti book I used to read all the time? I mean, it was like people would always say it's his answer to manufacturing consent, which I would recommend also. But Francis Stoner Saunders, The Culture Wars. I always reference that. I would probably say now Surveillance Valley by Levine, Yasha Levine. I would say something from, they didn't write it quite in this way, but if you read, I mean, even in Sophia Bakari's The War Before, there's a discussion of if I remember correctly, but the way I remember it was there's a discussion of how media misreport the Black liberation struggle, but stuff like that, like even when we were going over the Black Liberation Army study guide, again, it's not a specific per se focus on propaganda or media per se, but in there are these little gems about how to better understand how media work. Fanon's Toward an African Revolution, those collection of essays always had a lot of good stuff from me on colonialism and what, his, even in is that where Radio Free Alger is? I can't remember where he talks about that, but when that kind of I don't know. There's more. I'm sure there's more, but I need to do a better job of preparing an answer for that. So I apologize for not having that ready for this time. Inventing reality. That's it. That is it. Thank you very much, Ross. I appreciate you. That's exactly what I was thinking of. And yeah, Christopher Simpson's work. I mean, he's got a number of pieces, but the science of coercion, I think, is essential in terms of, particularly of the United States, at least the media system here. I mean, actually, this is a good one too. I would agree with that. I mean, I would agree with that too. All of these would be great. What was this? I hope we are leaving behind the mixed people are inherently more special than other. No, I don't think that's not what I was saying, and that's not what the comment was. The comment was really trying to say that was rejecting the mixed or biracial identity, was saying that they were saying you're either Black or you're non-white, you're either white or you're non-white, something like that. Say, but you can't this mixed, and I've always been uncomfortable with the way the identity is used more than anything about accepting different parts of my background. But anyway, but I was only simply saying that the idea that mixed people are specially confused, I don't agree with that. I've never agreed with that. It's not like people with quote unquote 100% this or that are less confused. I don't. The various colonial confusions just may address themselves differently. I don't know. Yeah, I can, but I can do that. Put the list in the show notes later. Thank you. That's a good idea. But I was also thinking of just maybe putting together a more full discussion and really putting a top 5 together and thinking more about it. That'd be a good idea too. Yeah, that's really, and I always liked what Dream Hampton said in the one interview I did with her years ago about that, where she said, she had that line where she said, me identifying with my Blackness is no more an indictment against my white mother than me claiming by something identifying as a feminist or a womanist or something along those lines is an indictment against my father. I didn't get it exactly right, but I like the way she put that, and I've always thought that made sense. It's about understanding the context and the politics of these identities. All right, anyway, because there's more. We got a bunch more to get to here. Doc J, Brave Valentine, is that what is being said there? Doc J, I've been working on several cool nicknames for you. All right, thank you. I was wondering what your opinion was, or if you had an opinion on Nas's latest work and his overall work in the last couple of years. Listening to King's Disease 3 reminded me of something you said about JayZ. You expressed your opinion that Jay hasn't really changed in content. I slightly disagree. Instead of street tales, he now updated or matured his tales by using the I did this, now I'm this theme. His fans seems to think that he is doing grown man rap and it's going over most of us average Negroes' head. I think he comes across as more condescending than the average rapper. And even though he has matured his material, it still seems to place him above everyone. And the woke stuff is no more woke than his Queen's efforts. I think it's hollow and trivial, but because he actually can rhyme, it comes across as something to have the mainstream hip media salivate over. Nas doesn't come across that way. To me in his work, I think Nas is not going to be politically radical, and unfortunately, he is a black capitalist. But I think he's much more digestible and enjoyable for the ears of a radical. I admittedly love the Griselda non-political street talk too, but I wondered how you saw Nas in relation to his latest work. Keep up the good work, and let me know how you're sitting with Doc J. If you're cool with it, I'm cool with it. I'm all right with Doc J. That's fine. I appreciate it. I don't have a particular problem with that. And I hear you. All I would really say is I don't agree that JayZ. I mean, I think JayZ. I don't think he's changed. I think he's always had that same approach. Because he came in. He was always talking about his former drug dealing career and how he always had more money, was always better at the dope game, and had more money coming into the rap game than most rappers had, having self-funded with his colleagues and So he's always, and he's just, as he's gotten older and made more money and become even more rich in relative to his community, it's just become more. I mean, again, he said in Imaginary Players, and that song came out. Was that even in the 2000s yet when Imaginary Players came out? When did Imaginary Players come out? Hold on a second. JayZ Imaginary Players. When did that? Oh man, JayZ Imaginary Players. When did that come out? Where is it? Wow, that's taking way too long. My fault. I didn't think it was going to take that long to find. Where is the 1997? So that came out in 1997. And in Imaginary Player, he was already talking about, I was drinking Cristal when you thought it was beer. I was rocking platinum when you thought it was silver. You know, and then the song ends with the dude asking him something like, what's the difference between 4.2 rims and 4.25 rims? And he's like $400,000, cocksucker, and all, you know, like, he's like, you know what I mean? He's, you know, what's the difference between him saying that then and him saying today, you know, I could have bought up all that property if I was smarter. I got diamonds now. I got, you know, and I got diamonds. I bought whatever diamond instead of this. I was in front of a Basquiat photo instead of while you were at a ball game. You know what I mean? I don't know. What's the difference? You know, anyway, so, and the Nas album, I did hear it. I haven't listened to it over and over again, but I have heard it. It's all right. I don't know. I mean, nothing really moved me. I'll go check it again. Nothing really moved me that well. And again, I'm always been a little bit off on this. I thought, you know, Nas is great. He's the legend, but I've always thought JayZ was a better lyricist. I still think JayZ's a better lyricist. I think he chooses, JayZ does, to stay, as he's admitted, in a dumber lane. And Nas tries to, you know, he makes at times, I don't know, I don't even know, but he makes more sort of allusions to something intellectual. And he may be more radical than JayZ. I don't know. But I think as a lyricist, JayZ's better. And I've always thought Nas, particularly with Illmatic, benefited as much from the most legendary roster of producers maybe on one album than he did anything specially lyrically on that album. I mean, I don't know how many MCs, I don't know how many quality MCs would fail with Premier, Pete Rock, Large Professor, Q-Tip, and I'm forgetting somebody, you know, all producing your tracks. Like, it's going to be hard to not have a great album. If you can rhyme at all, that's going to be a really good album. So, but anyway, and I get it. Not everybody's going to agree with that. I see people in the chat already. I get it. Nah, I get it. And that's fine. But all I'm saying is, I don't, you know, but I definitely don't hear anything in Nas. I don't hear anything in Nas's lyrics today that suggests he's spent the last decades studying some of the things he started off referencing years ago, or making, again, allusions to years ago. So that's why I was saying before, as I've continued to study, at least in some areas, I'm like, I hear you. I get it. I get it. I've always been. I'm never. Nobody agrees with me on that. But I'm just saying. Either way, I don't think either of them have grown much. Is all I'm saying. Or they're really what I'm saying is the industry, the popular commercial star system presentation won't allow them to. So, and honestly, I don't know enough about it. I don't know enough about it. So, oh wow, look at that. There we go. There we go. I mean, I'm not totally alone, but I'm just saying. Anyway, yeah, contradictions are real. All these are contradictions. So, but anyway, I appreciate the comment and please keep them coming. So in response, a recent comment to some work that Black Two Black and I were doing a little while ago on the myth of the circulating black dollar, where again, starting with Two Black, we wipe that out. It's forever. Like all you have to do is, if anything, show people that video. The links to Two Black's work are there. You can follow up with all and all the totality of it all, and it's gone. But okay, Carl Davis says, I take the racial and ethnic circulation of dollars a bit differently. For instance, there are Little China, Koreatown, Little Tokyo, etc., in several cities, and multiple mom and pop stores and restaurants owned by individuals from these communities. Thus, money is being spent within the group, from the Korean barbecue to the Korean tailor and mini market. We as Negroes don't really own a significant amount of stores. We don't have the ethnic and cultural products and others do. And basically everything we want or need is sold in box stores. Further, Walmart, Target, Dollar General are selling ethnic items and goods that once were only sold in those community stores or shipped over by relatives in their native country. My belief is that other groups, there is some truth to the dollar circulation narrative because they have ethnic enclaves that we don't, but it's largely only applicable to several East and West Coast cities. It isn't a national thing. And as you said, more or less, it wouldn't be an Asian monolith. It's specific to certain groups in specific regions. The same applies to Mexican communities. So, and I appreciate the comment, and I think I and others should do more work on this, or I and others should find the work that exists on this specific subject, which I have not found yet. So if anybody has it, please let me know. But basically my point is that it's not, first of all, it's not simply a matter of economics that these other communities exist or have these communities, Chinatowns, etc. There are histories of, for instance, the Chinese were only allowed to send people over here if they were starting businesses. So with help from the state, from China and the public policy of the United States, Chinese communities were able to come here with the express purpose of setting up business, and with the support of the Chinese state in setting up those businesses. So it again was not just some handful of Chinese people put their money together and set up a business, and therefore they have a community, blah, 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 blah. Another point to consider would be, why are these different communities in enclaves in existence in the first place? Because exploited communities coming from countries themselves being exploited in large part because of their relationship to the public policy of the United States and its allies come here, and because of public policy are relegated, not just money, but public policy relegates them to certain communities, in certain sectors of the economy in which they can work. For instance, these corner stores and restaurants, they're not setting up, to the point that the commenter is making, they're not setting up big box stores. They're not setting up major manufacturing. They're not setting up auto and other, distribution. They're not doing all of that because they're relegated to certain sectors of the economy where they can operate and exist. And in a very internally colonized and neo-colonial way, they have their own petty bourgeois politicians and councils, etc., and advocacy groups that look to protect them. People who emigrate from those their home countries come to those specific communities so they can be around their people, obviously. So that's, and that's of course where they're allowed to be, where they can afford to be. And then the money that they make is made not just off of their own people. They're not just circulating. Chinese restaurants are, I don't know if it's like, if this is a shocking reveal, they're not just, they don't serve the Chinese community. They're not there serving the Chinese community. Particularly Chinese people from China. I don't have the numbers on this. I might be, overdoing it with the speculation and the extrapolation from personal experience. But Chinese people from the continent, from the mainland, from home, with experience with home, don't look for what we consider Chinese food. That's not what they're looking for. So those restaurants are serving Americans and whoever else is around there, whoever the Black community that they're in, or whoever's in that neighborhood. That's who they're serving. Then, as I've said before, look at those stores and you'll notice it's a handful of the same people working in there all the time to generate a little bit of money that they often send back home and share and so on and so forth. But nobody's on some massive come up because of this. No divide economically is being closed because of this. So the fantasy that even if black owners took over all of those kinds of stores within the Black community and restaurants in the Black community and were serving the Black community, those stores, and it would require a handful of people to work endlessly for a very little bit of money. And it would not benefit the entire Black community, because what would end up happening, just as those communities take what money they make and send it back home or redistribute it in some other kind of way to a handful of people, that's what would happen with the Black business class that evolves out of that same situation. By sending money home, they take care of their family, they take care of their friends, maybe distribute a little bit to whatever come back to the community in some way, and that's it. So anyway, but thank you for the comment. I hope my response in some way makes sense. But this idea that Black people should just do what these other communities have done as a solution ignores the conditions of those communities, and none of those communities are chilling. And to the extent that the Chinese population is reaching some degree of parity, it's because the political power of the state of China is desiring it and pushing it in that direction. All right. So in response to our discussion of Riches, the new show on Amazon, and its Black buying power presentation, Rashawn Roberts says, I just saw something that had me tight last night and I automatically thought about you. BoyceWatkins is out here charging $200, $100 if you sign up in the first 24 hours to teach the hidden history of Black Wall Street. So I know you can just imagine the Wakanda myth he's going to propagate. I was feeling petty, so I tried to link the Black Myths podcast in the comments, proper analysis you could watch for free, but it didn't post. I might have called him a grifter. Might have called him a grifter too. Well, yeah, if you call them names, they're not going to let you post it. But yeah, I mean, again, why do Black audiences have to pay for a secret that is supposed to benefit the entire Black community? Or the hidden history? Well, I don't know. Maybe he won't debate me. So I don't know if and I'm not paying, so I don't know if I'll ever know if he's accurate or not. But I can't imagine charging people money for the hidden history of what that is. The hidden history, by the way. So that's it. Actually, that's it. The hidden history is as two Black and Black myths, and we all talked about. The hidden history is that a Black bourgeoisie extending itself off of the broader white-dominated economy preaches falsehoods to the Black community, exploiting them and making money for themselves while creating the mythology that this is good for the entire community. So that's it. So Boyce is demonstrating the hidden history just in this promotion to the extent that Rashawn is reporting it accurately. And I guess I would have to say that I don't know for sure that he is. So, but okay. Oh, Will Mars back again. So when we were talking with Dev about LGBTQ MCs, Will says that, and I'm sure he's talking about me, and I appreciate you at least saying SUN. Son is wilding right now. Real heads ain't jacking no LGBTQ rappers. Snap out that bullshit. I don't know exactly what that means, other than to say you're proving Dev's point correct. I guess. But the point is, LGBTQ rappers exist. They do have an audience, clearly. And to the extent that I heard what Dev sent, they have as much skill and talent as anybody else. And obviously, why wouldn't they? I don't know if there's like a hetero rap gene or whatever. But anyway, I don't know. You aren't looking for them, and okay, and I get it, and okay. Thanks for tuning in. There we go. That's my response. Al Unique gives me my response. There we go. Thank you. Oh wow, James Nadell back again. Dr. Ball, as regards Dr. Ben, I was a little boy when my mother, a white Jewish woman so-called, took classes with Dr. Ben at Pace University. Stop playing. I'm sorry. I'm just picturing this, and I can't help but get a kick out of it. Especially the version of Doc Ben that I bet. That would have been funny. She had his original manuscripts, Black Man of the Nile and African Origins of Three Major Western Religions, that he used as texts. I still have these books today on my shelf. She used to tell me that in reality, the earliest Jews had African read Black origins in the Nile Valley. She was a humanist more than a radical, and she was intellectually honest with me. She had me reading Fanon as a teen and let me formulate my own understandings. I reconciled contradictions between the conventional white supremacy, capitalist-based education and media that was prevalent and the separate education I was getting in a way that enabled me to be an independent critical thinker. The best way for white leftists to arrive at independent critical thinking about race, class, gender, and politics, economics, culture is to obtain a range of information from diverse sources and being intellectually honest and willing to evolve in their thinking. It takes work at being willing to challenge your own assumptions, the same way Black conservative nationalists can't handle your anti-capitalist critique. White leftists are often inflexible with regard to Black revolutionary nationalist thought. Wait a minute. Is that the same comment? No, I don't think so. I think that was where it ends there. Thought, oh, my bad. Why is this? Nah, I didn't get the end of that. Huh. Oh, no. Okay, that was it. That's another comment. Okay. Sorry, James, if I cut that off there. But I appreciate what you're saying there and largely agree. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Right on. Shout out to mothers that encourage intellectual development. And why don't I have this person's, my bad, man. How did I not? Don't expect it from YouTube leftists ranging from Jimmy Dore to Sam Cedar and to YouTube to your boy RM and Kyle Kalinske, Vanguard, virtually all the. Is this the same? Is this James's comment continued? Ben Norton and Multipolarista are much more attuned to these. I don't think so. Renaya Kalik, Breakthrough News is also very strong regarding Killer Mike if he was operating. Man, my bad. Where did I must have analysis and body struggle. What can they possibly say? Durability on how it operates and contradict. Let me just move on because I think I've clipped something out of context here. My bad, marginalized. Yeah, Daruba's great and he should get more attention. So okay. Red Sea, thank you. Yes, we have real bail money. My bad. I guess that's all I wanted to. I guess that's what I clipped that for. Okay. All right, a new comment on an older piece here from Tamika Mallory, AngelaDavis, Cardi B, and Captured Politics some time ago. Y'all are really out of order disrespecting Sister Angela. I'm new to this channel, and what attracted me was the brother who is part of the Black Panther Party. I truly wasn't expecting this about Sister Angela. Our sister deserves nothing but love and respect. So Queen Ebony, we appreciate you and I appreciate your comment, but I'm not sure to what extent you paid attention to what we said or to what extent you are aware of any of these histories, including the fact that, of course, AngelaDavis was never in the Black Panther Party. So I'm not sure what association you're making there. Or if you're talking about the people we've hosted, most likely Daruba bin Wahad, he's more critical of Angela than anybody else. So, I don't remember, honestly, I don't remember the specifics of that episode, but I think in general, we are very clear. So if we were critical of AngelaDavis, there was for some specific reasons and what she specifically said. So what I would encourage in Queen Ebony and others is that what is it that we said that you disagree with? What is it that we said that was wrong or out of line? I know we disagreed with her. We were talking about Tamika Mallory's book, if I remember correctly, and she has a positive exchange with AngelaDavis, and largely what I remember what we would have been critical of is AngelaDavis lending her very revolutionary symbol to very liberal, I would consider them conservative reactionary politics of the Al Sharpton tree of civil rights activism, which Tamika represents and literally comes out of in terms of her work with Sharpton. So anyway, I don't think anybody has been out of pocket in their criticism of Angela. And if we were, it would be helpful again if you would just tell us what we said specifically. I'm not aware that anyone is not criticizable. I'm sure we would have referenced Dr. Joy James's criticism. I'm sure we may have referenced Daruba's criticism, all very public, all very well argued. So anyway, but thanks for checking us out, and please keep coming back. Okay, so in response to my ludacris is ludicrous, buy all black is bad economics. Joe Bro 5496. When you speak about loans not being authorized to buy land, it reminds me how the IMF and other Western loan agencies put strings on money they lend oppressed nations in Africa. E.g., you can't use the money you borrow to provide free education, free healthcare, or build infrastructure for your people. The more you see the patterns, the more you see the patterns, and the angrier you get at how they keep us poor, but tell us we're poor because we're financially literate, or illiterate is what they would say. I think is what you meant, and I agree. Makes you despair at the absolute lack of black awareness of these machinations. Well, I was there once, kind of, but I always knew intuitively that our condition wasn't our fault, just didn't have the knowledge, data, or language to make the arguments against nonsense like buy black as it is advocated by wannabe black capitalists. Thank you. This is really good and really important work. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And that's partially why I did it. I'm doing too much. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, good you're here. He got time like Moneybag, yo. Nah, man, the semester's over. I'm just wrapping up my edits and my grades. But I believe there's a criticism from you in here, so I'm glad you're here, if I remember correctly. Let's see. Elixiu. Pardon me, bruh. Land is the real deal. This is also from the ludicrous discussion. What it all comes down to in actuality, land, community cultivation, and properties, material and spiritual, are the basic plot and premise of economics, markets, politics, religions, and all world powers. In the USA corporation, everything is for sale. Even China is buying up lots here. Definitely don't buy into the bullshit housing market. Land is the best bet, of course. We should be reclaiming land by all means, as it will be a foundation, the foundation supporting any cultural revolution and restoration of Black nationality to its natural position in the world. So again, these are all this is representative of the kind of vague and broad and oft repeated commentary about buying land, and it's just not supported by any data, in the sense that there's no land Black people can buy that Black people can use to circumvent the current relationship to the political economy and to society that Black people currently have. So to the extent that China or anyone else is being allowed to buy up any land, it's because they're going to do something with it that the state, that the country, the government, that those in power, those selling the land, are allowing them to do. And I'm sure it's making plenty of money for people here. And it's not something that can be duplicated by Black people. So again, this idea that Black people should do what China is doing. I mean, think about what you're saying. China is the second largest economy in the world. China is a state. China has organized leadership. China has its own nation and landmass that it can live on and defend. They're not an internally colonized population. So again, this is what I'm saying. Like this is the kind of stuff that I'm in some small way trying to respond to. You can't, going back even to the first comment about B. Doyle Mitchell, the Black owner of Industrial Bank, whose father was one of the co-founders, or his grandfather, whatever, great-grandfather was one of the co-founders of that Black bank, was saying the same thing. He literally said in our debate, he said, quote, "Our buying power is our GDP," end quote. Listen, you could, like the first comment is that you can make fun of me for being mixed and being this and being that all you want. You could call me a Jew and a communist and all you want. But the fact remains that if he really believes what he's saying, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I do. So, and that's what leads us to these kinds of comments. Buying power is not GDP. GDP is not a measurement of income and wealth. It does not measure inequality. It is not a measurement of organized power over actual existing wealth. So this idea that Black people should just do what China is doing, or do like Mexico, or do like this or that, do like the Jews, or do like anyone. Black people are not in these, or are not any of these other groups, and are not in the same position as any of these other groups, have a very particular history, are not a nation in the sense of a China. Black people are an internally colonized population with little to no external liberated support, given the global colonial situation everyone else is in. And as I not maybe detail enough, but at least reference in my work, there is no land to buy. And what we're talking about is not buying a home. We're talking about land that can be turned into a resource for an entire collective, for a nation. I don't think people are really understanding what that means. It doesn't mean get a little plot, get a little backyard and put some seeds in the ground. What land can you buy? What can you grow on that land? What can you mass produce, manufacture, deliver? Black people don't. The United States imports so much of what we buy in the first place. So much of what we buy is not even made here. So what products are we saying we are going to build? What land are we going to get here that we are then going to turn into that we're going to have to produce what? That's going to satisfy the needs or wants of who? And under whose leadership, under what organization? There's a lot we have to deal with. And that's why all I'm simply saying is the myth of buying power has to be obliterated before we can get to actual answers and questions. I know people, I think this may even want to be coming up, always saying you don't have any solutions. I can't offer no solution I would offer or could come up with is going to be of any value if we still believe in this nonsense. All right. Dr. Ball, I have a question. This is going back when we posted it from the remix. I think this is from the remix, better relationship between Black and Jews necessary. And when Kamal was saying he didn't think it was necessary, and I, or like a goal or anything, and I agree. Hi, Dr. Ball. I have a question, hopefully for your Answering Critics segment. Here you go, Juggernaut. You're welcome. I continue to serve the people. I understand that many European Jews like myself in the U.S. are racialized as white, but is it accurate to say that European Jews who are visibly Jewish, people who wear yarmulkes, Hasidic or Orthodox Jews, for instance, are racialized as white? When members of this society interact with or engage these Jews, they are either consciously or unconsciously registered in people's minds not as white, but as Jews, and are associated with all the connotations that people have of Jews. Nobody referring to a Hasidic community would refer to it as a white community, only a Jewish community. Yes, these Jews could sacrifice their religion and culture, wear different clothing, cut their facial hair, change their names, and be racialized as white, something Black people cannot do. However, that does not change the way these Jews are experiencing their reality and how they are being engaged by society. Jews changing their identity, religion, and appearance is not a practical solution for a Jew to ending Jewish oppression, because Jews in the communities have generally demonstrated that they are not willing to make these sacrifices despite all the violence that has been perpetrated on European Jews in Europe and in the US. Lastly, this solution should not be desired because, as you have pointed out, assimilation to whiteness should not be the collective ambition of European Jews. That's the last part. Thank you. So thank you very much for the question, Juggernaut. And so my shortest answer could be that I could give to this is that I have never meant to, I don't think I have, but I've certainly never meant to argue that to Gentiles, Jews are seen as white. To Black people, Jews are either seen as white or behave as white, as a collective, as an institutional body of Jews. They behave just as any other institutional body of certainly Europeans desire to behave towards Black and African people. To the extent that the Jews you're talking about aspire to whiteness, or actually, okay, so that's that. So Gentiles, I don't think ever see Jews as white or as white as them. And I don't think Gentiles ever truly accept the humanity of Jews. I think to Gentiles, they have seen Jews as useful, tolerable allies at times, disposable at others. And as we've been talking about in or as we just wrapped up in with Dr. Roan Frazier and talking about the Neil Gabler work on the Jews who invented Hollywood. I keep forgetting the title of the book. We just did the whole book. But as there's a running theme in that book, Gabler's argument was that group, that class, and that group of Jews, all they wanted to do was become European, Gentile, white elite aristocracy. So, and to that end, they have behaved as that group would behave towards Black people and anyone else, which is with hostility. But this is also my point that why there is so much reflexiveness or defensiveness among Jews when they hear things from Ye or Kyrie or whomever else is in part a response to that deep desire to become part of a Gentile world that they know does not accept them, and that if that non-acceptance is piqued, Jews know more than anyone else what those white folks and Gentiles do, because those are the ones that created all the pogroms and holocausts for Jews. So my point is, even when they hear criticism from Black people, the fear is that that is either a reflection of what white people think, or going to remind white people of what they really think of Jews, or is going to encourage more white people to think that way of Jews. And when that happens, that's when Jews know things go bad. Black people have never, Arabs have never, it's like, that's not the population that creates the problems for these European Jews. It's Europeans. So anyway, I guess I went longer than I thought on that, but my point is simply that no, I don't think Gentiles see Jews as, I don't even think Gentiles, I don't even think they, I mean, they still struggle. Remember, they were still talking about how, is it Biden? Is Biden the first Catholic? I forget it. Who was, but they're still struggling over Catholics. They're still struggling over, you know, Eastern Europeans of all backgrounds being part of the white world. They don't even like each other. So anyway. Is Biden Catholic? I know JFK was, but is Biden also? Oh yeah, Judith Butler. I've read it. I'm familiar with at least some of that. Absolutely. Oh, I know. I mean, it's a total fear. It's a total. Yeah, that's what I thought. That Biden got right. That Biden was the one that like he was like the, you know, because the joke used to be, remember what happened to the first and only Catholic president? Yeah, JFK was the first, and look what happened to him. And so they don't even see. Anyway, it's funny to go back and read some of like the early white stuff, like the founding fathers, so-called, of this country. When they talk about white, they really struggle. This whole they really, anyway. Let's anyway. So back to ludacris. E. Thomas, I feel you may be reaching a bit on this one. Nowhere does he say create wealth or close the wealth gap, just basic Black business economics. Black produced, Black purchased, but on a smaller scale. And yes, all within the capitalist system. That verse was very simplistic and shouldn't be overanalyzed. Again, in general, I'm never going to agree with that. I'm never going to agree with anyone telling me you're overanalyzing or you're you know, whatever. But okay, if you think I'm reaching too much, I didn't say, but I wasn't arguing. The point of my critique of that song wasn't because I'm saying Ludacris is actually telling us to close the racial wealth divide this way. What I'm saying is that song is reflecting the existing mythology and reproducing it simply by only extolling the virtues of buying Black. What is the audience member left to think? Are they really left to think that, oh no, he's just saying buy Black, but really we need to be politically organized, get radical, and have some real power here? Of course they're not going to think. They're going to think that this is just this is echoing what they're hearing everywhere else and reflecting that message, and so they're just plugging right in. Yeah, buying Black is a pro-Black positive solution to a problem, and it's not. That's all I'm saying. It's just not. It's not. Shouldn't be overanalyzed. Analyze more. So that's how we're going to continue the De Niro and what's his name franchise. We're going to call it Analyze More. Some more off that same video. Buy land to build generational wealth, says Kwame Binta. Then Angie J says individual generational wealth. 90% of the wealth is owned by 8 individuals. That doesn't leave much for the 40 million of us. Kwame Binta responds, defeated mindset. Kwame Binta also said, the reason why you work on the plantation is lack of financial literacy knowledge. Buy land to build generational wealth. That's where it started. Then it went to individual generational wealth, defeated mindset. So I work on the plantation because I lack financial literacy. So again, so first of all, of course, we have to start with the fact that there are no facts or data or links or research or specifics or anything in the comment, right? So I get it's a YouTube comment, but you could put links. You could say there's a reference. You could say, hey, read my work over here, or watch my video over here, or read this person's work over here, or watch and see how they debunk what you're saying, Jared. Instead, you just tell me I work on a plantation because I don't have financial literacy. So what should I do? What should I do? Buy land and build generational wealth. What land should I buy? What land, Kwame Binta, do you own, Kwame? What are you producing on that land? What are you bringing to market and distributing? And then what are you doing with the wealth that's produced? Help me out. Let me know where and where is the land that's being sold right now that we could go buy? Where is it? And what would we do with it? And how would that help the collective of Black people in this country? All right. So anyway, let me know when people supply these, beyond these kinds of comments. Let's see. Peace and respect, my brother in struggle. First, I want to thank you. This is coming from S. Abdullah Mujahid 7048. Peace and respect, my brother in struggle. First, I want to thank you and the comrades on your platform for the work that you and the brothers are doing. Sisters too now. And by the way, there's some non-binary. I do need to get my pronouns and everything correct. But there are some non-binary, non-cis identifying folks that support the platform. So it's everybody, and we and they all appreciate your compliments. What you have been saying regarding Black capitalism and its mythologies is very interesting. It has prompted me to reconsider my own analysis. Question: I am an educator in Detroit, Michigan, where perhaps 95% or more of the businesses that provide the necessary goods and services are owned by ethnic groups, Arabs, Asians, etc., that don't live in our community. What approach would you take in explaining the dynamics of the lack of Black ownership in the Black community with the intention of helping young people, high school students in specific, arrive at a practical analysis of this situation? I'm concerned that how I have approached this issue with my students and mentees has perpetuated some of the mythologies that you have discussed. Thank you in advance, your brother Shabazz. First of all, I appreciate that question, and this is a really good question, and I think, and it's a project. So let me say this: I invite you to follow up with me offline. I mix what I like at gmail.com. Email me and let's see if we can build maybe a project specific to your community. Because, for instance, one thing that I would like to see happen, because this is in part what I was talking about a few minutes ago in terms of the work that may exist that I'm just not familiar with. Could something be done journalistically to say, like a school project where you pick, I don't know, 3 to 10 local businesses that you and your students engage, or that's in your community, and maybe through, and I'm not saying to be disingenuous or to hide the goals here. But we could say, like, design the project to say, like, we want to teach our kids about the history, the businesses in their community. So let's do some oral history interviews with the shop owners or whoever works there about the history of their people, a history of their countries, a history of their immigration, a history of their development of that business. To the extent that they would be willing and able to do this, I think what would be revealed, and then other research which should be done also. Like, in other words, what I'm saying is a specific research project to your community that would reveal what I think would be the very state and public policy support for these specific people to do these specific businesses that have historically been denied as opportunities to Black people. So my work just hasn't focused enough on that. I haven't done that legwork, but I think that would be a great. So instead of whatever you've been telling them, instead of whatever version, I would be saying, let's just create a project that would itself be revealing, and I'll work with you on that. I think that would actually be a really good idea. On some friendly, hand-holdy thing. It could be, legitimately and promoted as, we're either teaching each other about each other, or we're specifically looking to lessen tension between people's communities, maybe by communicating and learning more about one another. We'll come to more of a peaceable understanding about how we're all in each other's faces. It would be a great way of revealing the political economy and the relationships various groups have. And it may even be revealing to the extent that they would be able to share, like, having those businesses is not some great come up necessarily, or it's only considered a come up in relative to some horrifically worse situation. And then, by the way, it would also initially start off by addressing a point I raised earlier by showing these kids, look at the sectors of the economy these businesses are in: food, beauty, health and cleaning services, like low end. We're not talking about like, surgeries and owning hospitals, whatnot, but like, hospice care, whatever, that kind of stuff, that kind of, and then it would be realized that, like, okay, even if we owned all this, like, how much money would really be generated, and how much of it would really be generated from us? Like, where else do they make their money? How much do they make their money from different? Oh, there's a lot. Anyway, I'm email me unless if you see this, and I would love to do something like that. I would love to see something like that happen, and I'm happy to work with you on that. All right, a couple more here. Mahogany Gypsum 248. That's the question I want answered. If we didn't have any wealth to spread, why are Asians and Arabs selling everything to us? Also, why can't we move to where there is land? So they're responding to that initial question, and then I think, wait, let me see this other one here. I think the mythologies that need to be dispelled are the same mythologies that need to be spelled about capitalism in general. When we look at the businesses in our communities, the true profiteers are not the Arabs that may own a gas station or a store, but the oil companies that own the land which the oil is drilled from. When you look at stores owned by Asians, understand the wealth is accumulated in the owning of the labor and factories that produce and package all the things you may see in the Asian shops, like lotion, soaps, and hair care products. These Asians, Arabs, and Latinos who own businesses are petty bourgeois at best, and still has little to no effect of the class character of their communities as a whole. To truly turn the wheels of change, our community strategies must be developed to target the true wealth holders who own the factories, land, and labor. CKS Magazine 8140. I love that. I love that. I love all of that. That is a really good point. Who has the nerve? Who's not watching and call? It's like, I'm just playing. Right. Because what are they selling in those stores? Either if it's food, it's just a repackaged version of a raw material source that they bought from somebody with actual land and money that was delivered to them in trucks and whatever that they don't own. And if they're in a corner store or whatever, they're selling every major corporation's product for them. They're like the corner boy of the Pablo Escobar cocaine dude. Damn, that's That's it. That's how they need to be seen. They're not, I don't even know. Do they even own the store? We don't even know. They're probably paying some. And then again, how much money are they generating? And again, the corner store that we used to live right around the corner from, every time I went in there, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it was the same 5 people. And we lived over there for 15 years, 12, 13, 15 years, same 5 people. Who wants that? Who wants that? And how much could they have been making? How much could they have been making? You know, well, in part because the wealth that they're making isn't just coming from Black people, and it's not generating that much money for them. It's just not. If your business is surviving off of only Black people buying it, you're not, you by definition, you can't be making money. Oh man, Baggy, I find you totally disempowering, and people are liking this comment. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not disempowering. I didn't disempower anybody. I am encouraging people to get around the pessimism of of a fear of achieving political power, which leads them to the easily accepted mythology that I can save my money and spend my money out of oppression. The real disempowering, the disempowerment comes from the colonial relationship. The messaging that tells you that you can make it if you just work harder and save your money only makes you feel better to the extent that a drug would. It's temporary, it's not real, it's not good for you, it's not a real solution. So I hear you. What I feel is I feel very much empowered by my argument, because the confusion around the absence of change based on certain financial behavior or economic behavior goes away. But anyway, the pessimism that you feel is really about how you feel about your willingness to engage in the hard work of political activism, and I get it. But but again, by the way, notice also with in the other ones where the name it's more direct name calling or something like this, no one has said I'm wrong. No one has certainly demonstrated that I'm wrong. So I'm disempowering, but does that mean because my argument is correct and it's depressing to you because you haven't heard the encouragement in my delivery? Or I don't know, but I don't know what to tell you. The people who you likely feel empowered by are ripping you off. They're either unintentionally giving you bad advice or analysis, or they're intentionally giving it to you to rip you off. Ron Hall says Dr. Ball has his finger on the pulse of the most significant issues facing the Black community. The damaging false narrative of Black economic prosperity is a harmful myth enabled by some of our best and brightest, as they have done an exceptional job selling this illusion to us, and we have adopted it hook, line, and sinker in a self-delusional frenzy, despite the harsh, wealthless realities of our visible lives and surroundings. Fight on, Dr. Ball. I'm with you 3,000. Thank you, Ron Hall. And right there, I do like to include some positive comments, not just all criticism, in part to be reminded as maybe for our last commenter or the previous commenter. Ron sounds pretty empowered and inspired and inspiring. So I don't know. All right, last one, a long one. And it looks like I did cut off the name. Oh my God, my bad. Oh, wait, did I read this one? Or is this just the same? Hold on a second. Yeah, this is the end. Okay. Dr. Jab, appreciate the critique of the song. Okay, we're back on the ludacris point. It seems we miss a point. Land is existent. Wait, this is you, right? This is you, right? This is you, Ing Onim Yama. I think this is you. Hold on, let me pull it back up. Let me get back in front of it here. I think I can make it a little bigger here. People buy plots and acres daily. Your assertion is that available land is an insufficient quantity to make a real difference, than I understand. But I do believe that acquiring as much of it as possible for the collective until it becomes prohibitive in cost isn't totally wrong, unreal, or impossible. So already, again, show me the data on this. What do you mean people are buying plots and acres daily? Who's buying plots and acres? And again, what plots and acres are they buying? Because if you're talking about residential property, what do we, that's not helpful. That's not what we're talking. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what people mean when they say getting land, or that's not what they should mean when they say getting land. So I don't know what land you're saying is being bought or who's buying it. And then when you say buy as much until it's cost prohibitive, it's already cost prohibitive. Black people don't have any money. Who's got, again, the house I live in, and to the point that of that conversation we just had the other day with the sister at the restaurant, the house I live in, the car I drive, all were purchased with initial loans from a bank. We didn't have X amount of thousands of dollars in the bank to go just buy the house. And nobody, very few people of any background have that kind of money. Even the wealthiest people use other people's money and collective invested money to buy major purchases. Black people don't have, so what bank is going to lend you or I the kind of money we would need to buy up all this land? Nobody. So I don't even, so it's already cost prohibitive to buy. Also, I think we ought to begin to walk and chew gum. We can follow the strategy of circulating the greatest amount of funds that we are able to within the community and population, and simultaneously focus on work to establish the system. So again, this is going down a path that I've tried to address so many different times. I've never said don't do any of these things. I've said stop advocating them as solutions to the collective problem. And when people say what you're saying here, they usually ignore the fact that they're not walking and chewing gum. They're just walking. The amount of people who say, let's do all of this land buying and investing and circulating just as a step to the blah, 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 blah. They never do the blah, 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 blah. And all that they really mean, and I'm getting more AbramHarris in his early days, as as my days get old, I'm going back to his early days. I'm not going so far as he did to say that the biggest problem facing the Black poor are the Black capitalists, but they're up there and they're the ones promoting this nonsense because they want your money, and then they tell you to go chew gum while they're walking off with your money. They just want control of the Black market so they can, relatively speaking, live well. This is not, so we're not doing this on the way. It's not a survival program as the Panthers, it's not like that. We also engage organization and strategy to bring down the status quo. Nobody does when they don't do that. That's not, but my real point is the mythology doesn't circulate. The narrative doesn't get propelled because people are encouraging this. The narrative gets propelled to discourage the chewing gum part. This is similar to what LGP raised in the analysis of the midterms last night. I don't know who that is. Who's LGP? Who's that? We have to force the system to operate with us on our terms until we have no need to consider that specific system anymore. Do the best we can according to our principles and needs. until we bring about the system that is popular and reciprocal. I think that is a point your realization doesn't provide for. And I don't think it's totally without merit or value to suggest that course of action. So, I guess similar to what I was just saying, I'm not discouraging people from doing anything other than thinking that much of what they're doing is going to lead us somewhere. Circulating the dollar, starting a business, investing in Wall Street or this or that, whatever, buying land is not going to, it's not a step to take to advancing a solution for the collective problem facing the collective. I don't believe that. In the same way, I don't believe electing Obama was a step in the right direction, or Obamacare is a step toward universal health care, or Bernie in his discussion of socialism is a step towards socialism, or the inclusion of Black or brown or queer or whoever in this, that, or that is somehow a step towards. I don't believe in any of that. All of those are negations of the real work that has to be done that we are encouraged not to do. That's where the previous commenter's pessimism comes in. Because the harder work of political organization and movement building and sustaining is hard. It's terrifying. It's much easier and safer to simply say, we'll just do all this on the way to doing all of those things. But that's not what happens. That's not how it works. So I think it's best to make more noise about the fantasies and the mythologies associated with Black capitalism in all of its formations. Get rid of them. And focus on organizing for what I'm describing simply as political power, or yeah. Because by the way, me and us doing that isn't going to stop the propulsion of the mythology, more broadly speaking. So I'm under no illusion that because I, and maybe a few people might agree with me, that we're going to impact that on some national level in some meaningful way, at least not initially, at least not until we're politically organized. By the way, all of this other stuff that you're talking about is why I do advocate, is incorporated in my analysis. I'm advocating for the after party concept and different engagement in electoral politics. I'm doing BPM and advocating a different engagement with media collectives and support for political organizations. So my realization does provide for all of these things. It's just that it's not as simple. It's not as easy as simply saying to people, buy land and invest. They can't. And in what? So thank you though for the comment, and I appreciate all of them, and I hope others will offer up more. So if I didn't see any of your criticism that you have offered in the past, if new ones emerge in response to this video, please go back again or put them anew here.
Put it in the comments.
And I will endeavor to find them and offer a response to them. And again, I appreciate everybody's support for the channel and what we're trying to do here. And I think that's it. I don't think anything is, the chat is on its own. I don't think needing me to invest. Oh, should we do that? Emma, I know you'll be there. I know Emma will be there. You know what? Give me an hour or so to think about that. But my initial answer is absolutely. I'm absolutely willing. You know what? Stay tuned. I'm pretty convinced I'm gonna do it. But stay tuned for the official word on that. I think that's a great idea. Word up. Word up. Okay. Okay. Let's yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you. Thank you all. Baruch, thank you very much. Appreciate your consistent support. And believe it or not, I still have some of your, you sent me a couple essays that at least one in particular, I still want to read. And I have them in a folder of stuff that I plan on getting to when I finish this other work. Anyway, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I mean, we could do it on YouTube. You just can't, I mean, just wouldn't have any, it would just be us on camera, and I just have the game on off camera, and we could just comment on it. We could do that. We just can't show it on here, but I'm down for that. Okay, let's do that. I think a bunch of us can get on the Discord at one time. Okay. So what does that mean? That it wouldn't be, so we wouldn't use the chat here, is what you're saying? So go live via Discord. Is that what you're saying? You could do that? I honestly didn't even know you. I haven't been, I'm not up on it. I don't know if I can't promise that. I don't know, because I know we can't StreamYard to Discord. And I know, look, there's a number of YouTube channels that do this with Premier League games and World Cup games. I know that they're doing that. I just hadn't thought. Yeah, I don't know enough about the Discord setup, but no, we can't stream to Discord from here, not through StreamYard. I think if I do it, it will have to be here. But anyway. All right, listen, everybody. Thank you very much once again. I appreciate you all coming through. Those who will see this here later, I appreciate you as well. Please, again, keep the comments and the criticism coming. And the support for the channel. Share everything in your socials, do all the other good stuff, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning with the regular show. The fellas will be here. Not sure what's going on with our guest situation, but I think, just stay tuned. It'll be a fun time, a good time tomorrow morning right here at I Mix What I Like in Black Power Media. So peace, like Fred Hampton used to say, as long as you're willing to fight for it. Catch you next time. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.